Hi, I'm Justin and welcome to Just Shaves. For this video, I wanted to pause and just walk through my personal recommendations for the best beginner level safety razors. Also the price point I think you should be looking into. I'm going to be focusing specifically on head shaving, so my recommendations are going to be geared towards head shavers, so please keep that in mind. The very first razor that I got for myself was this King C Gillette. I purchased this one for about $20. I would consider this to be a budget entry-level razor. It's made out of Zamic pot metal, injection molded, which basically means it's mass-produced, and because of that, it makes it very affordable. But some of the downsides of that is it might not have as tight tolerances as some of the higher-end razors, and also eventually the threads on these Zamic razors can break. With this particular razor, it worked well enough for me, especially when I was first learning, but it's an incredibly mild razor, and it was pretty early on that I realized I was going to need something that was going to be a little bit more on the efficient side. If you're strapped for cash, or rather, you're kind of jumping into this with one foot in and you're not sure if you want to fully pursue this hobby, or even if this is going to work better than cartridges, like maybe you want to just buy a cheap razor just to test it out. That's exactly the same boat I was in. I just kind of went for the most affordable one, figured I'd try it out and go from there. I would recommend going for a razor that's going to be on like more of a medium tier, let's say the $50 to $80 range, mainly just because if you get something that's going to be on the cheaper side, there's a small chance that it's going to be, the perfect ideal razor for you. But for most people, you're going to buy this, realize there's some faults with it, and you're going to want to upgrade anyways, and you're going to end up buying two razors. Maybe you'll turn this one into a travel razor, but at the medium tier, you could really buy a single razor that's going to meet all your needs, and you can just be one and done if you're not completely into the hobby. With this, if you're committed to not spending more than 40 bucks, this is an option. You can also just check Amazon and browse double-edged safety razors. There's plenty of other ones out there that are going to be similar to this that you can get for 10 to 15 bucks just to try it out to see if you like it or not. Another option I would recommend if you're committed to staying under $40, check out the ItalianBarber.com website with RazoRock. They sell a number of different Zamic heads, all varying levels of efficiency. They have a chart on there that you can test it. You can check it out. They end up selling their heads for about $9 individually, so you can actually buy a few of them, test them out, see what works for you. If you end up buying a whole Zamic head razor, they sell those for about 20 bucks, and they actually come with their premium stainless steel handles. So if you're looking to only spend 20 bucks on a razor, that's the way that I would recommend going. But with that said, I would typically steer away from this type of razor just because there's a very solid chance that it's not going to meet all your needs, and you're going to want to upgrade and spend some more dollars anyways. So after this razor, I ended up I kind of had like a decision point after this one, just reading reviews. One of the razors I was looking at was the Rockwell 6C, and the other one was the Henson. I don't have the 6C anymore, but I do have the 6S, so I'll hold this up to demonstrate. It's a 3-piece razor, but what makes this different from other razors is it comes with adjustable base plates that you can swap out to change the efficiency. The 6C cost about $60. The 6S is twice the price. They shave identically. Main difference here is this one's just going to be made out of stainless steel as opposed to the Zamic pot metal. You shouldn't have any immediate issues with longevity with the Rockwell 6C, but with the 6S, this is built like a tank and isn't ever going to break. So if you wanted to buy just one razor, this is an option. This one's going to end up costing about $120, whereas the $60 6S version, you're going to be able to get really the same functionality out of it. For me, this ended up being a good choice just because I was able to adjust the efficiency level and find out that I did end up wanting a little bit more efficiency for my head shaves. If I were to recommend a single razor within the $50 to $80 range, I would personally recommend going with an adjustable razor. Just that way you can get it dialed into your specific needs. And you're also kind of guaranteed to have a razor that works for you. Like you'll be able to move around the adjustability to figure out what works for you. My number one recommendation, however, is not the 6S or the 6C. I would recommend the Merkur Progress. This is one of my favorite razors overall. This is a truly adjustable razor. This particular one cost me brand new is about $70. It really is a vintage razor that's still just being made and mass produced in a similar fashion. Same idea with the Rockwell 6C in terms of, you'll be able to dial it into your skin and your hair type's efficiency level. This one, rather than flipping base plates around, it's truly adjustable just with this knob right here. As we're lifting this knob, it's raising the top cap, which is increasing the blade gap and the blade exposure. So pretty quickly and pretty easily, you can really dial this into a different level. If you were to just have one razor, this one shaves like multiple different types of razors depending on what you need on that given day. With the 6C or the 6S, I feel like most people would kind of attest to this. You would typically play around with the base plates early on, figure out which one works for you. You have the option to take the razor apart and flip it around in the middle of your shave, but typically you're just gonna find a setting and stick with it. Whereas this one, because it is so easy to adjust it, you can adjust in between passes, and I find myself doing that as well. So I'll go with a more efficient setting on my first pass, and on the second one, when I don't quite need as much razor because I have fewer hairs, I'll actually just dial it right down, and it's really as easy as turning this knob. Another thing I'd highlight is at its lowest setting, this is a very mild razor. So this is even more mild than, the Merkur 34C, which is talked about and is really popular. At the level 1, this is a really mild razor, difficult to cut yourself on. Even if you're just learning how to use a razor, this is a setting that's going to be safe to do that at. But on the flip side, you can just as easily turn this into a very efficient razor. So right here, this is on the level 5 setting, pretty aggressive at this point, and it can continue turning. So you can actually go past 5 and it continues going. Mine, I think, stops clicking at like level 12. And at this point, if anyone were to say this isn't an efficient enough razor for them, I would call them a liar, because the gap here, like, I can almost fit my finger in it. I wouldn't recommend turning it up this high for really anyone or any case, but at this point, it's basically like you're shaving with a Chevette. So it has, on one end of the spectrum, it's a very mild and forgiving razor, but it can be as efficient as you want. And it's really just that easy as turning this dial as you're going along. So this would be my number one recommendation. If you were to go with the Rockwell 6C, that's another fine option as well. I just personally prefer this one, so you can't go wrong with either. I really like this one. Rockwell also has their T2, which is going to be very similar to their 6C and their 6S, except it's going to be kind of like the Merkur, where you're turning to adjust it rather than flipping the plates. I haven't tried that one personally. I heard it shaves nearly identical to their 6S and 6C. Main factor there is just going to come down to price. The Zamek version of their T2 adjustable razor is like $150, so it's like basically twice as much as the 6C. And then their stainless steel version is $250. So again, twice the price of the stainless steel one, which comes in at around $120. Personally, I don't know if it's worth the money. Some people have them, like them just fine. I would probably start here with the Merkur Progress, but if you are going to get the 6C, that's an excellent razor. For an extra $60, you can get a razor that's going to last you the rest of your life in the 6S. If you are looking to spend around $100 for something stainless steel, really the functionality you're getting over the Zamek counterpart of it isn't that difference. You're really just paying for the longevity and the peace of mind knowing that this razor is not going to break on you. If this is around your price point, I would again recommend checking out the Italian Barber site and looking at some of the RazoRock options. My personal favorite is the RazoRock Game Changer. Don't have that handy. Maybe I could bring it out. So I did have it handy after all. So this is the RazoRock Game Changer. This one costs about $55. and they sell different base plates. So it doesn't come with a set of base plates. You buy one razor and then you can buy different base plates for different levels, whether you want a straight bar or you want an open comb. I like this better than the 6S. I would caution you that if you were to buy one, you're likely going to want to get more than one base plate just to kind of dial in your shaves. And that's exactly what I ended up doing. When it was time for me to look into a stainless steel razor, I went with the RazoRock Game Changer. Started with the 0.84 gap. It was great on some days, but some days I wanted a little bit less. So I ended up trying out the 0.68 open comb and also the 0.76 straight bar. And at that point, the $55 razor plus the additional base plates, which are $30 a piece, now I'm right at the exact same price point of the 6S, but instead of having 6 options, I'm down to having 3. That said, I enjoy the shaves of the RazoRock Game Changer much more than the 6S, so again, can't really go wrong with either. If you are looking stainless steel, consider checking out the RazoRock site just because, again, the quality of their build, the razors they build, and at the price point, you're really getting top-notch quality without completely breaking your bank. Starting out, again, I don't know if you need to spend hundreds of dollars on a razor, but if you are looking for something permanent that's, you know, going to stand the test of time, you're not going to have any concerns about the longevity of it, you can consider going stainless steel. You will end up spending probably around $100 at that point. You could get lucky and just get the right base plate that works for you right out the gates, but you're typically going to want to try out a few different ones just to be sure. So to recap, I would highly recommend going adjustable over anything else. Also in that same $50 to $80 price point, you can consider getting an aluminum razor. I've been loving aluminum razors for my head shaves. Just with the lighter weight, it takes some of the pressure off of the blade, allows me to still get a really close shave, but it's really soft on my skin. And with aluminum at that price point, you're getting top of the food chain quality out of your razors. It's still gonna be subject to the same, fixed dimensions typically. This razor right here, Aylsworth APEX, highly recommend. However, there's only one base plate setting, so if it works really great for you, awesome. But if it doesn't, you might end up with a razor that you only want to use on some days. So that's something to take into consideration as well. Henson's going to be another really popular head shaving razor. I personally only have the aggressive version, but a lot of folks in the community have the mild and medium and really love it for their head shaves. I personally like the Apex a little bit better than the Henson Aggressive that I use. I feel like it had the same efficiency, but was a little bit softer and smoother. I'm guessing this one would feel similar to Henson's medium razor, but it's going to have a little bit more efficiency. So if you are in the market for an aluminum razor, again, you can get really top quality within that, $50 to $80 price point. So I would recommend checking out either an adjustable razor or an aluminum razor within that price point. I would personally skip past getting a cheaper Zamek razor because you're going to end up wanting to upgrade it anyways once you're kind of into this and you're trying to get the best possible shaves you can get. Beyond this price point, I really don't know if you're, once you start spending hundreds of dollars on razors, it's really just a hobby at that point. For myself personally, the top of the top tier razors, I love them. They shave great. But if dollars are a factor, around this price point, like this Apex aluminum, I think is a fantastic razor. You're not really missing out on much if you have a razor of this quality, or on the adjustable side, the Merkur Progress. You're really not missing out on much here at this price point. Another one that I did want to highlight that I purchased recently, this is the Oliworks Aluminum. I've only done one shave with the medium plate, but for $69, they sell this aluminum razor. Comes in around 40 grams, has excellent handle, excellent knurling, and for that $69, they actually include 3 different base plates. So that kind of gets right back to solving the issue of having this fixed gap. So at the same price point, you do have some variety here. You might personally find out that one of the base plates works better than the other ones. And then when you buy the razor, you're going to be able to dial it into your personal needs. And you might even need different things on different days. So if you're able to have some variety with the base plates and it's not an adjustable, like that's going to be able to meet all of your needs. And again, you're getting top quality at this price point if you're looking at aluminum razors. Another aluminum razor I really love, I think is probably my favorite, is the Colonial CR7. Price point, that razor by itself costs about $70. And if you include the extra base plates, they have 3 base plate options available, you're looking at about $90. So premium pricing, but you know, you could be done buying razors potentially at that price point. Trying to see if I left anything out. Nice little brain fart at the end of my rant here. In summary, I think, you know, the $50 to $80 price point, you can be done buying razors, whether you go with an aluminum razor, but I would highly recommend checking out an adjustable razor like the Merkur Progress. This particular razor, some of the complaints people might have on it, the handle's too short. I like the handle at this length, but if this is too short for your liking, this is the 500 model. They make a 510 model that is the exact same razor, but has a longer handle. Also, if you just dry your hands as you're going along, I haven't had any issues with it. Another option, similar price point, you can check out the Parker variant. It was modeled after this razor. Supposedly the handle's going to be a little bit grippier and easier to work with. So there are a few other options. Again, I don't care to push any specific razor. This particular one works really well for me. And there's similar ones that are competing with it at the same price point that might work just as well for you. So with that, if there's any razors I left out or forgot to mention, please let me know in the comments. But at a high level, I highly recommend going with either an adjustable razor or an aluminum razor for your first razor. And it could be the last one you end up needing to buy because it's going to end up meeting all of your needs for years to come. So with that, I'll go ahead and sign out. Thank you all. Bye.